Network. The whole point of my talk show is to show you that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities to never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be, so prove them and stand out to something.
Hi, my name is Celeste Guzman, and I was just interviewed by Keith Andrew from KeithAndrewNetwork, and it was an amazing interview. He did a terrific job, and I recommend to anyone to come aboard and support his network.
991, we're very close to our goal of 1,000 episodes. We are 8 episodes away from our goal. Today, on our talk show, as you heard from the recommendation, but I give you a quick highlight, we have professional actress, producer, model, writer, and I just want to say first off, thank you for your service. You are a veteran in the U.S. Army. I just want to say thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you, Keith.
Oh, the honor's all mine. So the first question I want to ask you, because there's so many things on here that I want to talk to you about. The first one is, who inspired you to be a part of the U.S. Army?
That would be my father.
Did he serve in the Army? I know it sounds like a stupid question, but did he serve in the Army?
No, he did not, but he had a dream when I was 17 that I would be in the U.S. Army.
No, it's a real inspiration. And there's no reason why women can't be in the Army.
That's right. That was a big challenge. I could not believe it at the first moment that he shared that dream that he had. I was like, that can be, there is no way. But many years later, actually happened. And when I was doing the oath to go in, I was like, oh my God, I have a flashback when my father shared that I would be in the U.S. Army. Like, wow, cool.
Oh, so the next question I want to ask you is, tell our audience, we're going to go back to that in a couple of minutes, but the question I want to ask you is, tell our audience a little bit about your background.
Well, I am a Dominican American, and I started theater back home and TV. I was a lot into acting when I was growing up and very artistic. I had a dream to become a model early age, but that dream kind of buried down for a long time. So fast forward, I became a mother, and then I raised my kids, and so I put the dream on the side. But 4 years ago, I had the opportunity to audition, and I was writing into the runway, and then acting, and then as a producer. And I was like, wow, I thought that this is not going to even happen because of my age. And I was like, you know what? It's never too late to just recommit to the dreams that we actually dreamed from many years ago, or maybe childhood. So I am also U.S. Army veteran, as you know, and I was able to serve this country. It was a great opportunity to have to be part of the force. It was really life-changing, and it helped me a lot in many different aspects. So I'm a speaker and a writer. I actually love to write, and since I'm a little child, I used to write a lot of poems, and I used to be a matchmaker for a lot of people at school. Because they didn't know how to write poems to the person that they like or the crush that they had. And so they used to tell me, hey, can you write me a poem? That way that person liked me. And that's exactly how it went down. So I think that's kind of funny. So.
No, absolutely. So you were kind of like what they're actually advertising on Wine and Facebook now. You were their wing girl, like their wing man, but you were their wing girl.
So, can you please repeat that
A
again?
wingman is kind of like, I actually don't know what exactly a wingman is, but it's just someone that goes and helps the guy pick up the girl. It gives him the things to say. And now what they're actually advertising on Facebook is called Wing Girl. So you talk to her and she tells you what girls expect the guys to say. So
Oh, wow.
you were doing that
Well,
actually before it was a thing.
yes, now that you put it away, that makes sense. And it was just for fun. I just wanted to help them out to just, uh, help them just to know each other and get into. Some people actually got married after the poems and helping them with writing their emotions, putting into writing because they didn't know how to express it in writing. So it's basically they would share their feelings and then I would put in writing.
No,
So,
absolutely. So pretty much it's got to be the same questions, but I'm only going to change a certain part. So the
okay.
next thing I'm going to ask you, it's as I asked you in the beginning, what attracted you to begin your career in the Army? What attracted you to begin your career as an actress and a producer?
Well, I am a very creative person with a lot of ideas, and I basically think as in terms of I don't know if this makes sense, but it's like uh, life experiences. I see it as movie in my head or as cartoons. So I basically portray a storyline very quickly in my mind with any situation in life. So basically, my life is full of stories, and I feel that my whole life is an act, like acting. So I basically love the idea of acting because it helps to portray the feelings and emotions and the life stories of my own life and maybe others too. But the main inspiration is that I have a passion for acting. I just like to tell the story through the acting and to basically uh, it, bring the character to life, like if it is my own.
No, absolutely. And that's how I feel about my character that I portray on the screen and how I'm gonna be like in films and TV shows. The Keith Andrew, of course, it's my first name and middle name, but that's a character that I developed for myself. So it's my very own character.
That's awesome. I love that.
No, I appreciate that. And what about writing? What inspired you? You mentioned that you used to write notes, but are you interested in ghostwriting for books, or have you ever written a book?
I have considered ghostwriting, but I have written 5 books. They are not published, but they're in the process of at least publishing the first one. But I consider making a series of books and then turning into movie or film or episodics. So yes, I am definitely heading that lane.
Well, I'm gonna throw a curveball at you, and you can always say swing or miss or pass. So hypothetically, if I asked you, would you ghostwrite my book? Would you do it, or you wouldn't be interested?
I will consider.
Because everyone tells me I should write my own book, and I got jealous. The one story, my brother wrote a book, and I got jealous. Say, well, if he can do it, I can do it too. And
Yes,
I don't have it with me, but first off, the title of it was called "When You Overcome Controversy, Dreams Do Come True," even if you have a learning disability. So, first thing I learned after the fact, I published the book was you can't overcome controversy because controversy is something you can't really overcome theoretically. And I asked Exuberus, can you read it? Can you have someone, process the book and make sure, it's readable? Can you have someone to, process it and make sure that all I want to know is make sure the book it's edgeable and readable. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm looking at and completely, full of shit, by the way, it's uncensored. I'm looking at the book right now and it looks really good. No, they're not. They're looking at the computer screen. I'm looking at, right now and I got it. And it was filled, filled of spelling errors and typos and horrible grammar. And people like to make fun of it. It's like, well, if you helped me, it wouldn't be. I'll give you an example. Um, I talked about my mom in the book, and I said my mom went to community college. Instead of saying community college, it said my mom went to comedy college.
Oh,
And everyone's like, I was born on Long Island. I mean, I was conceived on Long Island. But instead of saying that, it says, I was born on Long Land. And people are like, yes, I too was born on Long Land, land by water. And
what?
so if it was meant to be a joke, I did a good job of butchering it. But
Okay.
I'm not a storyteller. I'm like, okay, chapter one, this is what I did when I was growing up. Chapter two, this is my school experience. But it felt like it was a journal, and I was just bitching and complaining, saying, this is what I did in first grade, second grade. And like, this is not a story. I have no idea what the hell I'm reading. I don't know what the hell I'm looking at, but it's not a story. So that's why I would like to work with you to be my ghostwriter.
Sure, that sounds very fun, but then I will have to have some questions to ask you.
Yeah, absolutely. And for my new thing, and one thing I do want to promote is Grammarly. Now, back in 2012, 2011, maybe, or maybe 2010, there was no such thing as Grammarly. Grammarly, it's free to use, but they do have different platforms at different prices, $10, $15. And pretty, do you use Grammarly, or you know what I'm talking about?
I have, I have tried.
It's also people want to know it helps you with your grammar. It tweaks what you're writing, so it doesn't sound kind of robust or kind of robotic, and it kind of like what the hell he's talking like he's a fourth grader.
Yes,
But it's really good, so I would recommend Grammarly. But do you ever want?
yes,
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
yes. That's a good recommendation, actually. Yes, I agree with you.
So the next one I want to ask you is the hard hitting question of have you worked with people with besides me, obviously, thank you. Have you worked with people with disabilities? And
Yes.
okay, and how can people with disabilities work with you?
Well, I used to be a certified behavioral specialist in the in New York area, and I worked for 20 years in that area, and I was one of the major advocate people that fought the law that is today for the American Disability Act. I used to be one of those people that actually fight and gather people and parents in New York, and that is over 26 years ago. And I have a child with disability, and I became an advocate for the disabled. And I never look at it as a disability. I look at it as a great opportunity to just let the world know that there is many ways of learning, many ways of talent, and artistic ways. And I became a strong advocate for human rights when it came to individuals with challenges. And it's still today, I still have a heart for it. I still mingle a lot with it. I'm the voice for the voiceless when it comes to that. And I love to really put my face and my voice out there for whoever is need to. So I love to encourage anybody with any type of challenges. I don't like to call it disabilities, actually. I would say challenges. And there are opportunities to just create something amazing out of it. So I am very passionate about that topic. Okay.
No, absolutely. I like to get you fired up. You know, the other thing is I'm probably going to I think it's really funny, but I'm probably gonna go to hell for this. But let me go back to what we were saying before. Is that unlike one of my favorite wrestlers, CM Punk, I am like the voice of the voice, as you said, the voice of the voiceless. I walk to the beat of my own drum. I talk about how I feel. I have no filter. What pops in my head, I talk about it. And I was thinking, okay, let's see what we can do for disabled people. And I'm thinking, why not have our own wrestling federation, wrestling company for disabled people? Why not? I interviewed a lot of broadcasters, and you never seen one person say, for an example, hey, I'm doing a special free lesson. If you want to learn how to be an announcer, I'm going to do a free episode. You can join me. I will tell you the do's and don'ts. You don't have it. You have people say, hey, you want to be an actor? You want to be an actress? You want to do this? But then, even if you hear people say broadcaster, it's always about schools. I don't want to go to school. I want to hear from the professional. Like, I'm a big fan of professional wrestling. I want to hear from Tony Schiavone, who's been an announcer for almost 40 years. So he has a great experience in stories. Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler. And unfortunately, Bobby Heenan passed away, but he had great stories. So, or even wrestlers say, we're going to do an online class free to the public, of course, and just tell you quickly in a half hour or an hour the do's and don'ts. And I think, okay, that's how you get people hooked. And then you say you want to learn more, then you can do your spiel about people being, well, you have to do this and pay a certain fee. But I want to ask you in this question, did you ever take acting classes?
I did.
And for people who want to know, what are legit acting classes? How would you know the real ones from the fake ones?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking. Well, it is recommended that you seek out to learn from people that are already in the industry, that already have a trajectory, but there is also upcoming new actresses and actors in the industry nowadays that I can highly recommend. Like Michaela Lisiak is one of them. She's a working actress and is a younger generation. And it is amazing how she teach people about acting. And she is absolutely phenomenal, in my opinion. I can also say that there is many opportunities to learn about acting without paying. So how to distinguish one thing from the other? First of all, there is a lot of freebies and a lot of free teaching out there about acting. And there is no need, in my opinion, especially for somebody studying that wanted to know how to act or studying into it. I don't recommend they go paying thousands of dollars and hundreds of dollars to somebody to teach them at the beginning. I know that might differ from others' opinion, but in my work and experience, there is great, fantastic people that are veterans in this industry that they can teach people and offer a lot of advice that are super powerful and on point. And they are found in Facebook groups. They are found in filmmakers groups and that type of environment. But in my case, because I did not know better at the time, I invested thousands and thousands of dollars trying to get myself prepared and ready. Then to find out that there was no need for such thing. So I prepare a whole resource list to help others when it comes to opportunity. If somebody wants to join with me, to make it available or to do kind of like a host questions kind of interview to share those tips and resources for free. I'm not planning to charge absolutely nothing because I know the feeling and the pain to go through the path of not knowing what exactly you're doing and what route is the best or what is the best acceptable for the industry or not. So that is something that I would love to do, is to create a platform actually for people that are beginning, that don't have a clue about acting, and that way they do not get discouraged before they start. Because a lot of people get in that boat and they just throw the towels. They just give up, and it's a very tough industry. Let me tell you, Andrew, it is very tough. There is a lot of people that are brutal, that they are not very helpful with the comments, and the support system is not almost none. So those to me were steps of challenges. Like, okay, that was rude, but I'm gonna take that as a challenge to just continue going and find another way or avenue to make it work. So I became basically a fighter and advocate for myself and to create what was not there. I noticed that there was a lack of things, of resources, that especially bilingual, or for people that are not known at all in the industry. So my heart goes out for that, and I would love to work with a group of people that are interested to bring in people with special abilities. I call it abilities, special abilities, and then bring them into the group of to do monologues, acting, and create our own platform and our own company. And I'm looking for a group of people like that are willing to be part of that movement. So.
Well, if you're interested, I would like to invite you to be a part of the KeithAndrewNetwork if that's something you'd be interested in.
Okay, I would like to hear more details about that.
Yeah, absolutely. If I was 10 minutes, I would say, this is your time. This is not about me. But the question I want to ask you is about stereotypes. With everything that you accomplished in your life, so from serving in the Army, from being a writer, a producer, how did you overcome having labels and stigmas? How did you break them?
The stereotypes of being a female in those arenas?
Yes.
Well, in my case, it's more than that, because being with the accent, being Hispanic background plus female, it's been very, very challenging, like crazy. However, like I have mentioned, to me, obstacles are basically an invitation to create something new and to just keep pressing and going on and be focusing on the goal, focusing on what is it I want to accomplish, and not to go by so many people's opinions, but the dream and the vision that I have and pursue it. And if it doesn't exist, then it must be created. That's basically what I stand. And stand my ground, because I have to stand strong into what I believe and what I'm going for. So I hope that answers your question.
Well, let me ask you this. When you go for an acting role, have you ever been sized up in the first 10 seconds? For you may dress the part, you may act the part, you dress professional, but have you ever been sized up and people say, nope, this is what I expect from you, this is what the looks that we have for you? Were you ever sized up?
Yes, I've been there. I experienced that. And I basically have to put my best face and a smile and keep up, the strength, and be okay with being told no, or whatever it is the statement. And I just build that from there, and I say, well, could you please tell me what is it then I need to improve, or what is it that I did great that you like, or you recommend me for something else? And I'm being in auditions where I thought that I did amazing, right? And it just happened not to be amazing. And then those I thought that was a mess, that's the one that I actually booked. It's like, okay, that's crazy cool.
And what? No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And there is also the other part, which is like a lot of things I noticed is that there is a men-dominated field in a lot of cases. And I'm like, okay, I guess not everything is for me. And whatever is going to be for me, it will be for me. So I continue to be focused on that mindset, because it helps me not to get sidetracked by the negative.
Well, what about your one person I did interview about this, and I said it was a load of crap. Do you think having an accent hurts when you go for an audition, or are you able to turn on and turn off your accent?
Well, yes and no to that question. For example, the industry in the Spanish speaking TV, soap opera, movies, and things like that, there is a lot of that the accent is necessary, and my accent would be completely amazing. But for the other side of the spectrum of the industry, it is a killer against me. I am in the process of taking coaching classes for turning it off and off my accent. And that is something that I include in my resource list, because I was not aware of such a thing the first 2 years of getting into the acting. So it can be a downer or a winner, depending on what is the need for the character or the project. So
No,
That's
I
that's
agree with you. And there's so many actors out there. British actors, Australian actors, obviously British, Australian, um, I think Japanese, but I don't know any when it comes to mind. But it's British and Australians that really come to mind. You look at people like Hugh Grant, Hugh Laurie, Hugh Jackman, um, probably Chris Evans, or not Chris Evans, I'm sorry, Chris Hemsworth. I never heard them speak their normal tongue. Sometimes I did hear Hugh Laurie talk in British and Hugh Jackman in Australian. So they are able to turn it on and turn it off. But it takes practice and it takes time.
it does. And like, for example, if I go to the international market for the industry, it would be amazing, my accent. So it depends what is my goal as well, and what project do I want to partner with, because that's another thing. Now every project there is for the actor or the actress. So it's basically to find out what is it that the person, actress or actor, want to focus on, and then work in that arena, in that environment, because there is a lot of places in the industry where the accent is not welcome, but there is others that is actually absolutely necessary. So some people may see it as a blessing or as a curse, but
That's true.
I see it as a full blessing, because I don't have no problem with my accent. And I think it's kind of cool, and a lot of people tell me that. And like I said, not everything is for me, and whatever it's gonna be for me, it would be matching with me, and my accent would be welcome. So I have learned to maneuver through those type of obstacles that actually can be a downer for a competition or for a role. So I've been in there, I have experienced it, and I have learned from it.
Well, let me ask you real fast, and then we're going to begin to wrap up. Do you think having an accent gives you an advantage?
It depends if the role requires it. But yes, at the same time, it's like having two, like, for example, regardless that having Spanish accent, but a lot of people don't even realize that it's Spanish accent. But anyways, I get confused a lot with Mexican background, and I get roles actually because they think I'm Mexican. I don't know why they think that, but hey, if I got a role, okay, let's do it. but but it has happened that I'm being on set for a commercial, for example, and they say, we picked you because we want to bring our product to the Mexican market. So we want you to represent the Mexican market. And I'm like, in my head, like, okay, I am not even Mexican. But if that's what you think that works for your product and for the commercial, then I'm good to go and I'm getting paid. So it's good.
No, I agree. Now, I do have a couple questions for you off the air, but the last two I want to add to is how can our viewers get in touch with you and where are you heading to next?
Well, I can be followed on Facebook under my name, Jesus Celeste Guzman, or Instagram at Awaken Wellbeing Coach. And also, I just recently have a company that I'm putting together, which is Unlimited Eminent Productions on Instagram. And what I'm heading next is that I'm getting ready to publish a book. However, at the same time, working for turn that into a film. So I continue to improve myself and train and improve the craft, take the on and off ads and coaching classes, and see if that open new doors of opportunity.
No, I agree. And I want you to be brutally honest. When I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what made you say yes? How do you feel now? And what do you recommend it to other people?
Oh, definitely. I was like, that's really interesting. So when I look your advertising and you were speaking and talking about it, I never heard of you before. I never heard of your show. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then I saw people that I know that you interview already. I was like, okay, this is actually a real thing. So I was highly interested when I heard your message about that you want to show people about what you can do and the possibility and the ability that somebody can have. I was like, right on, I'm with you. And I'm like, yes, I am really admiring this guy. So But the first time I was kind of skeptic because I never heard of it. But after I saw a few of your links, I was like, this is pretty awesome. So
No, I agree. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I recommend anyone out there that is approached by KeithAndrewNetWork to consider and to come aboard on the interview and to support what you are, the message that you're trying to portray to the world. So consider myself a fan and a supporter. So
I do have a couple questions for you off the air. But if you're watching on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, and all social medias, if you're watching, leave a comment. I would love to interact with you, or our guests would love to interact with you. All our information will be in the description. But for us to do a part 2 episode, hands down, our goal is to reach 100 views. So once we get over 100 views, we will definitely do part 2. But wrapping up, until we catch up, until we meet again, catch you later. Thank you and have a good night.